Trump's trade war, Canada's response, and the Tesla tariff. Threat. U.S. President Donald Trump is determined to push forward his administration's trade policy overhaul, significantly impacting trade relations between Canada and the United States. The tension has escalated to a point where many are asking, with friends like these, who needs enemies? This has led to speculation about whether Canada will distance itself from the U.S. for its vehicle and metal exports, and instead strengthen its trade ties with the European Union. We want to make it very clear. If you pick a fight with us, we're going to fight back, declared one Canadian member of Parliament. Another went even further, stating that if Trump's threats continue, Canada will impose a 100% tariff on Elon Musk's Tesla. However, Canadian officials say their retaliation will be more precise. I have proposed a 100% tariff on all Teslas, said one politician, emphasizing a strategic approach. But how realistic is such a move? Can Canada truly shift its trade focus to the European Union as an alternative to the U.S.? Let's examine the potential consequences of this trade dispute. How it affects highways, metal factories, and even major brands like Tesla. The deep trade ties between Canada and the U.S. For many years, Canada has been the United States' closest trading partner. From automobiles to steel, aluminum to dairy products, the two countries share a massive volume of trade. However, Washington's recent protectionist stance has put Ottawa in a difficult position. Trump shocked Canadian officials by stating, "I could impose tariffs of up to 100% on Canadian vehicles and metals." Some within his administration have even suggested that if this measure fails, more extreme steps could follow. Tesla as a retaliation target in response, Canada has made it clear that it will not back down. If the U.S. imposes tariffs, Canada will retaliate, targeting American brands, with Tesla at the forefront. A senior Canadian politician stirred controversy by stating, "We will retaliate surgically. We will put a 100% tax on Trump's favorite brand, Tesla." Why Tesla? The reasoning is straightforward. Tesla is a symbol of the American electric vehicle revolution, carrying immense symbolic value. By targeting Tesla, Canada aims to stir domestic political pressure within the U.S., strengthening its negotiating position in the auto market. Can Canada rely on the European Union instead? The most pressing question is whether Canada can truly shift its trade focus to the European Union. Despite Trump's tariffs, the United States remains Canada's largest and most accessible market due to geographical proximity and massive trade flows. However, Canadian officials argue that they are not without options. Canada already has a comprehensive trade agreement with the European Union, CETA. Unlike the U.S., the EU does not impose heavy protectionist tariffs, making it an attractive alternative. Yet, analysts point out that fully replacing the U.S. market with the EU is not easy. High transportation costs, regulatory differences, and physical distance pose significant barriers. Nevertheless, Canada hopes to use its ties with Europe as leverage against U.S. tariffs, especially in the metal sector. The Tesla dilemma and Canada's strategic resources. Tesla's role in this. Trade war's no accident. The company is not just an automaker. It represents U.S. technological innovation and has a growing customer base in Canada. Adding to the stakes, Canada holds vast mineral resources crucial for electric vehicle production, including lithium and nickel, which are essential for Tesla's battery supply chain. Tesla had been considering sourcing these materials from Canada to reduce supply chain risks, but the escalating trade tensions now threaten that possibility. The bigger picture. If Canada imposes a 100% tariff on Tesla, it could significantly impact Tesla's Canadian sales, driving up prices and hurting market share. This would also spark debates within U.S. politics, as many American lawmakers and Tesla backers hold considerable influence. At its core, Canada's message is clear. If you impose a 100% tariff on us, we will respond in kind. The question remains, will this standoff push Canada closer to the European Union, or will both countries find a way to de-escalate the situation? The impact of trade policies on the North American auto industry. The automobile industry operates as a vast, interconnected puzzle. Certain components are produced in Canada, others in Mexico or Asia. Steel and aluminum might originate from Canadian facilities, ultimately destined for assembly in the American Midwest. Once completed, the automobile may even be sold back in Canada. This cross-border cooperation fuels the industry on both sides. However, imposing an extreme 100% tariff would shatter this structure. Manufacturing costs would skyrocket, and consumer prices would follow suit. American consumers would wonder why the price of a car suddenly jumped by $5,000 or even $10,000, while Canadians would lament factory shutdowns and rising unemployment. In the end, both sides could lose. Yet, some policymakers remain driven by arguments centered on national security and protectionism. Economic fallout for the US and Canada if Canada were to seek alternative markets beyond the United States. Options like the European Union or Asia come into play. However, Asia presents logistical challenges, and there are no free trade agreements with major economies like Korea, Japan, or China. The European Union, on the other hand, appears more promising under the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA. Strengthening ties with Europe could pressure the United States into negotiations. Could EU-Canada cooperation counterbalance American influence? CETA significantly reduces tariffs between Canada and the European Union, aiming for free trade, though some obstacles remain. If Canada shifts its focus to Europe for its metal and auto exports, it will face tough competition from existing producers. However, the advantage is that the EU does not impose the kind of arbitrary tariffs that Canada faces from the US. Moreover, the EU's nearly 500 million consumers present a substantial market. That said, exporting to Europe is not as convenient, as trading with the US transportation costs and shipping times increase, making the US market the more practical choice. Nonetheless, from Canada's perspective, engaging with Europe provides leverage in negotiations with the US collaboration on green initiatives and EV battery minerals in sectors like steel and aluminum. Discussions of potential Canada-EU collaboration are already taking place. One such example is the development of green steel initiatives, which emphasize low-carbon output. If US protectionist policies persist, Canada and the EU could form a strategic alliance, allowing Canadian auto parts to find new markets in European manufacturers. German and French automotive giants may look to Canada for metals and components, bypassing the United States. Mexico's role and the ripple effect. The trade tension between Canada and the US does not exist in isolation. Mexico is also deeply involved. The North American auto industry remains highly integrated under the USMCA, formerly NAFTA, with steel, aluminum, and car parts constantly crossing borders. If Canada's vehicles faced steep tariffs, Mexican factories would feel the consequences as well. At the same time, the European Union may take action. If US policies push Canada too far, EU leaders might accelerate negotiations with Canada, potentially reshaping global trade dynamics. Such a scenario could mark the beginning of new trade blocs and an escalating global trade war. Diplomatic solutions and the path forward for Canada, fully disengaging from the American market, carries significant risks. Proximity to the US remains a crucial advantage. However, looking to Europe as a backup plan strengthens Canada's bargaining position. The message is clear. Do not underestimate us. We have other options. Trade wars often create more losers than winners. A prolonged dispute could lead to rising consumer prices, factory closures, and heightened political tensions. Historically, such conflicts tend to end in compromise. A similar crisis occurred with steel tariffs, but after retaliatory measures, both sides found middle ground. A likely outcome could be that Canadian auto exports avoid the full 100% tariff, while the US secures certain trade concessions. In the meantime, Canada may choose to limit the scope of its Tesla tax, or apply it selectively. However, one thing is clear. The future of North American trade remains uncertain, and strategic negotiations will play a critical role in shaping the outcome.